thinking about that theme of International Women's Day and to invest in women and accelerate progress, what is it that you can do to provide those opportunities so that we can all have an equitable world? Hi, and welcome to Helping You Perform. I'm your host, Paul Teasdale. Over a career working with high-performing teams from across the globe, including 7 years working with Formula One team McLaren, I've learned a lot about what it takes to drive results. In this weekly podcast series, I'm going to be bringing you tips, tricks and insights from the world of Formula One that you can apply to your organisation for your high performance. Enjoy. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Helping You Perform, where I bring my tips, tricks, insights and stories from the world of Formula One and other high performing teams to help you accelerate your own performance. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode 55, which was all about predicting the future. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, I do recommend going back, have yourself a listen. It's a really good episode for you to think about what that could do for your business if you could predict the future or predict the impact of decisions on future performance. This week's episode is a bit about the future, and it's a bit about our equitable future, because this week I want to be celebrating International Women's Day, which is coming up on the 8th of March, so Friday this week when this episode is going out. And I thought the theme and the topic of International Women's Day this week was particularly apt to this podcast series because it's Invest in Women, Accelerate Progress. So I'm all about accelerating performance and accelerating progress, finding those things that you can do to leverage so that you can get better performance in any way, shape or form. Now, what better way of accelerating all of our progress than helping 50% of the world to get an equitable share and an equitable opportunity so that we can all benefit from the performance that would bring. So I want to talk this week about some of the work that's been done in the world of Formula One, McLaren and the world of Formula One and motor racing in general to create more equity. But I also want to just challenge you in yourself and your organization as to what you can do as well. So I was particularly interested to see that this week, in fact, today it was announced that McLaren have their first ever female development driver, a lady called Bianca Bustamante, I believe it is. Apologies if I've got that pronunciation wrong. Lady from the Philippines who's joined McLaren to be a development driver and who is doing amazing things already, and I'm sure will go on to do amazing things to help that team to progress and move forward and learn in that development driver role. And who knows where her career is going to go. Hopefully we're going to see one of these days female representation in what has traditionally been a completely male dominated sport, not only on the track, but also if you go to the pits, if you go to most of the team that sits behind the pits as well, you've got a male dominated world. But I saw in my time at McLaren, there were efforts to make that more equitable, make opportunities open to everybody, and to make sure that everybody has a chance to perform and bring that performance to the team so that everybody can benefit. So congratulations to Bianca for joining the McLaren team, and I'm sure there's going to be some great things there. But it wasn't the only great story in the world of F1 and racing around that equitable space as well. There's some really good work happening over the past few years on the W Series. So if you haven't had a chance to have a look at that and you're interested in the racing world, check out the W Series. Some amazing work going on in a women-only driver series. And there was another story on the BBC today as well about a lady called Jess Edgar, who was the first British F1 Academy Series winner over in the States. And the great story that she had behind how she had grown up in the world of karting. Her mother and her father and uncles and aunties had all been involved in the world of karting, and had actually given opportunities for people like herself to get involved throughout that stage. And I think it's one of the key things, not only in the world of Formula One and racing in general, but in the world in general, what you tend to see is if everybody gets a fair chance of participating and getting involved in the early stages of an activity, be that racing, be it business, be it entrepreneurship, be any sort of sporting activity, pastime, whatever it might be, the more chances people have at an equitable chance in the early stages, the more you see people coming through the ranks from all sorts of different backgrounds. And that sort of touches on another element of the equity and diversity space, which is making sure that things are more accessible to people where traditionally they've been inaccessible, as well as the sort of the male-female inaccessibility that's happened in the world of F1. Traditionally, it's been a very difficult sport to get into because of how much money it costs to simply get involved in the first place. So opportunities such as, people coming through the ranks in the virtual racing world and esports, and eventually moving from the esports world into the physical racing world, those are opportunities where you can start to provide a more equitable platform so that everybody has a chance to perform. And it doesn't matter what background you're from, it's more accessible. It's not exactly free, but it's still a lot more accessible, a lot easier to get hold of, a lot easier to, doesn't require the travel and the expense and all of the technical knowledge that needs to go behind sort of creating the karts and creating the cars and the drivers and the all of the mechanic series that goes behind. But what can we learn from that in terms of opportunities to provide an equitable space for people to learn about the thing that matters to our business? So this is where I want to start getting you thinking about what are those opportunities that you can start giving so that you can provide that equitable space for everybody, particularly as it comes to International Women's Day, so that you've got that opportunity to invest in women and to accelerate progress, forgive me. And so what can you do? Something is the answer. Whatever organization you're in, there's something that you can be doing to understand, identify, and address the gaps where inequality starts to creep in. Now, it might be in where the opportunities are now, but it might also be where those early opportunities to get involved in your field of work, in your sport, in your pastime, whatever it is that you're doing, how can you make that more equitable, more available to everybody from any sort of background? And ultimately, what you're going to get through from that is diversity coming in. You're going to get diversity of thought and challenge and performance improvement that comes with that. And you're also going to have people who are coming through the ranks that you wouldn't have had before. And you'll be amazed at the performance that can drive, not only in those individuals, but the challenge and the competition that gives elsewhere, so that everybody lifts up together. So that's my challenge to you this week. Thinking about that theme of International Women's Day and to invest in women and accelerate progress, what is it that you can do to provide those opportunities so that we can all have an equitable world? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Pop some comments in the sort of platform wherever you're listening to this or watching this podcast. But do drop me a line. Maybe go to LinkedIn, find me on there. I'm very active. Or as always, go to www.paulteasdale.co.uk and drop me a line. Let's set up a free 30-minute chat and find ways that we can all accelerate progress for ourselves and for everybody else. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Helping You Perform podcast. If you found value in this episode, please take a moment to like, share, or review the podcast. You can reach out to me at any time, either through LinkedIn or through my website at www.paulteasdale.co.uk. I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode.